He was killed. Why him? Out of hundreds of people in our village, he was the one who died. Some might say he was responsible for his own death. I'll tell you this, as I saw it myself. He came to our village a few months ago, around the end of October. He was a tractor driver. While it was winter, he cleared the road from 6 in the morning to 6 in the evening. He kept his good old Belarus in perfect condition, inspected and repaired it on time. He generally kept everything in order. The military past was evident. Iron discipline was evident in his every gesture, word, decision. He wasn't a people person. He rarely talked to anyone himself, and even if he did, it was only on business. Really, the only exception was me, when he arrived and bought a small dilapidated house, which was rebuilt a couple weeks later. I went to meet him myself. In the course of our meetings, he talked about his past. Yes, this guy had been through a lot, and now, in his 45th year of life, all he wanted was peace of mind. I liked listening to him. He often shared dinner with me, and I really grew attached to him during that time. 4 months went by like that. That Saturday, the young men came to have fun in the spring, as usual. It was already a tradition. They came every year, and they came to our place. We were the inhabitants of an ordinary, fading village. Half women and children, of the remaining half 2/3 were old people. It could be called a real terror. It was physically impossible to give them a decent response, or to appeal to administrative resources. The district officer to whom our plot was attached had long ago resigned, and no one was going to appoint a new one. They came and started to abuse everyone they could get their hands on, invented their own games, which were characterized by a kind of cruelty, and, naturally, it was violence. No matter how many girls there were in the city, no matter how beautiful they were in the city, no matter how beautiful they were considered by the lovers of Baltica 7 and seeds from Baba Nura, but in our village, there was natural beauty, except that the beauty of almost everyone had already been violated by them. No, they did not rape them in the usual sense, but almost every woman in the village had scars left by them. This time there were 10 of them, and they came a little earlier than planned. Apparently, they were impatient after the winter. The grandmothers noticed them from afar and hurried back to their houses. Panic immediately rose in the village. Everyone ran to hide their daughters and sons in the hope that they would not be caught. They started the first thing they did, as usual, was to mock the animals. Apparently, they liked this warming up. Everything went on as usual. No one could fight them back. The moment they came in, I was sitting next to him. Hearing the commotion outside, he must have guessed who it was, as he had heard stories about them. Grabbing a knife, he stuck it behind his sinus and walked out. He walked so fast that I could hardly keep up with him. By this time, they were already on the road that led from the animal stall, from where the sorrowful mooing of the surviving cows could be heard, to the buildings of the village. He appeared before them, unexpectedly, and they were astonished. They had terrorized the village for so many years, and now someone was standing in their way. It was an insult and a challenge to them. The first one started approaching him at a run. I don't know if it could be considered self-defense, but he did what he did. He bent over slightly and plunged the knife right into his neck. I watched from a distance and saw the attacker fall, choking on his own blood. The others rushed at him, and I realized he didn't stand a chance here. I ran away, hid in the nearest barn, and waited. Waited, never went on. Apparently, the life they had taken was enough for them. When I arrived at the scene of the massacre, he was lying on the ground with 4 corpses around him, 1 against 10. He had given his life for their 4. Judging by the bloody footprints that stretched from where they had clashed to the opposite direction, from where they had come from, at least 2 or 3 more were seriously wounded. They were gone. Everyone realized they'd be back, but it would be a year from now. Now, they'd sated the violence much faster and suffered casualties. Yes, it was stupid of him. But he did what he did. Few people could survive a fight with 10 brown bears. He was buried very quickly, as the graves had already been prepared for the casualties that were to follow their visit. Only this time, only one of the 10 graves was useful. As for me, what could I do in such a position? Sad and lonely, I returned to his house, rubbed my side against the table leg, sipped from a bowl of milk, and jumped onto his bed, curled up and fell asleep